All right. Again, I want to thank Alana Hadid and Munir Atalla of Watermelon Pictures.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you so much.
Thank you. It's very exciting. And tell us a little bit about Watermelon Pictures. What's the scope of that work? I understand it's to address issues involving Palestine and Palestinians. Is there anything broader to that?
Oh, 100%. You know, I think obviously it's a Palestinian-run, led, founded company. And we do want to amplify Palestinian voices as they've been silenced for so long. But our intention is to amplify all the voices that have been kept out of the mainstream in Hollywood. And, you know, all of that collective power that comes from these people that have been oppressed for so long, all of these people, all of the indigenous people around the world. And so, you know, we want to amplify those voices and make sure that so many amazing people who are making these beautiful films that have been buried, ostensibly, and purposefully. We want to, you know, bring them to light with what we have and you know, use our, I'm just looking at Hamza, one of our co-founders. You know, we want to bring those to the forefront. Yeah.
Excellent. Do you want to add to that?
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, just to talk a little bit about what Watermelon Pictures is and how it came to be. First of all, it's so incredible to be here, and thank you so much to MPAC, to Pinecone Ridge, to Doris Duke, everyone. We're standing on the shoulders of giants, you know, all of us. And in our case specifically, the two giants are Malik and Walid Ali, who are two Palestinian brothers who, in the 70s, founded a distribution company by literally like peddling film reels to nursing homes, hospitals, and other institutions, and built that into a distribution company, one of the biggest independent distribution companies in America, which is MPI Media Group, the sort of parent company of Watermelon Pictures. So although we're a new label, we're backed by this, you know, really the gift of an entire generation's sacrifice, which gives us a foundation to be able to do what we're doing. We're sort of grandfathered into this industry of distribution and able to kind of fill that gap where a lot of films kind of hit a wall, right? We make these great films, but then nobody ever sees them. Why is that, right? It's because the distribution element is a very tightly kept space, right? And having the sort of key to unlock that has been a huge game changer, I think. And you know, we're just getting started in what we've been able to do. Yeah.
Can we dive in a little deeper on the distribution challenges? Because I agree, there's so much content out there, wonderful content that I've seen, but it doesn't see daylight usually. How do you want to navigate this? How do you address these blocks, these obstacles that continue to face our community over and over again? I mean, even yesterday, the film that Shireen Dibas did, What's Left? All That's Left.
All That's Left of You.
All That's Left for You, right? It was a wonderful film. I don't know if you saw it, but in my opinion, it's her masterpiece. It's epic, and I think MPAC will be committed to showing it to every member of Congress and every person in Hollywood, because it's that much of a need. But I can imagine that, you know, even the Variety, you know, we were reading the Variety article about it today, and it says, well, it was good, but it was uneven. It's like as if, you know, we've lived for the last 100 years with even discourse on this issue, and we give the alternative narrative, our narrative, and then they start talking about, well, it's uneven. How do you address this idiocy?
That was amazing. We'll start with you talking to them.
Yeah.
You know, I think what's beautiful about Watermelon is what Munir was speaking about, is the, you know, 50 plus years that we are standing on of connections in this industry that we are leveraging to make sure that these films are seen. You know, one of the first things that we did when we started Watermelon, when Hamza and Badia started Watermelon, was to highlight films that had been out there and that no one had given the time, that no distribution companies had touched. And so I feel like that was a testament to, what we want to do, create a community where people feel safe to make the art that they want, and that they know that at the least we're going to point them in the right direction, and at the most we're going to make sure that their film is put out there. And I think that is our mission and kind of our promise to our community and all the communities that are, in solidarity with us and that we are in solidarity with.
Yeah, and just to build on that, I mean, we kind of were founded with the theory that actually audiences want this content,
Yes.
right? Content about our communities, right? Content that is fearless and courageous and is actually both entertaining and educational, right? But it's been, very tightly regulated from the highest levels for this content to never really be seen. So our entire enterprise is really powered by audiences and communities, right? And because we're able to kind of go from the development of a project now all the way through distribution, and very soon, actually, just a sneak peek, we're going to be launching a streaming platform into exhibition, right? Yeah. So I hope everybody subscribes. We're building our own ecosystems to say that, of course, if anybody, we're so collaborative, and whoever wants to work with us, like, we're Palestinian, right? If you come to our home, we're gonna feed you. We're not gonna leave you hungry. But at the same time, if those we're not depending on sort of the goodwill necessarily of these gatekeepers, right? We're building our own power, and for that we need communities, we need audiences to show up. And so when we launched, from Ground Zero, this collection of 22 short films that were filmed in Gaza in the past year. Thank you. We were hoping that our community would sort of respond to that and show up to theaters to kind of receive this film. And it was incredible, the response we were getting. I mean, on an organic level, people were organizing their mosques, their churches, their synagogues, their SJP chapters, JVP chapters, and showing up to the theater as a community to witness this moment, and mobilizing others to the theater to see this as well, using the film as a tool of organizing, of change, of conversation starting. So we played on over 150 screens across the U.S. with From Ground Zero. It's still in theaters now, so if anybody wants to go see it. It was shortlisted for an Academy Award. Thank you. And this is a film that was made for almost no money and partially shot on iPhones in an active genocide.
During a genocide, yeah.
So, I mean, let's just appreciate the fact that we're just getting started, and there's a lot more to come, yeah.
And then, in terms of the narrative, what specific narratives are out there? What is it that we need to be paying close attention to on the Palestinian issue?
I mean, I think we're all kind of becoming more aware. Our eyes are much more open, and we're seeing the subliminal messaging that has been prevalent in media, in entertainment for so long, that has put us really has put us in the position that we're in now, allowing people to be dehumanized to the point where they're allowed to be genocided for 15 months and everyone just watches. So, entertainment is a big part of that. What has been in films, right? What has been put on television? These undertones of, we are terrorists. And we all know that we are not terrorists, we're fabulous. And we are, amazing line. These things that have happened for so long, that we have just been a party to, we've been watching from the sidelines. We are, just as the Muslim House is trying to do, we're taking ownership of our narrative and our stories, and we're telling them from our first person. And I think that that's the most important part of rehumanizing the Arab community, the Palestinian community, the Muslim community, all of these different communities, indigenous communities, black communities, all of these communities need to be able to tell their stories from their own mouths. And people need to see them as humans who have a right to their humanity. And I think what we're just trying to do is be a part of the many things. MPAC is decades strong, and we're not the first people to do it, but we just want to take what we have and the power of 50 plus years of MPI and now Watermelon to further that.
And And just to add, I think what this moment has shown us, what a devastating moment we're in, right? But at the same time, what clarity it's given us, right? And I think that it's shown us that Palestine is about so much more than just Palestine, right? It's kind of, Palestine will unplug you from the matrix, right? Like, once you once you see it, you literally cannot unsee it, and it opens your eyes to so many other issues. And I think that's why it's so threatening to those in power, right? And I think the beauty of that as a sort of catalyst, as a rallying cry, is that it just incorporates so many other movements and struggles. And that's really part of what we're trying to do, right? Is open people's eyes to that, but not stop there, and say that, as the movement against all the forces we're fighting shifts its locus to other places, we're going to be there. We're, just this year, we're starting to branch out of just Palestinian content. We're launching a film, a beautiful documentary about Sudan. Often people are like, what about Sudan? Well, yeah, we're talking about Sudan, and we're going to be talking about it. And far beyond that as well. So, no, it's only branching out from here, and we're going to be changing more than just the Palestinian question.
In Hollywood, it's interesting because historically Hollywood has been that voice that speaks against the establishment's position, but it's very establishment. It went through an era of McCarthyism where Hollywood leaders were either in jail or they were held down and they couldn't produce their work. Yet their successors are doing to us what was done to them. And it's the same thing on college campuses. A lot of the school administrators are going after students for things that these school administrators did when they were students, which is protest, which is, wow, what an anomaly that students are protesting. And so it's this hypocrisy that we're dealing with all the time in our field of work. We're called the terrorists, yet they're the ones that are committing acts of terror and silencing people that are calling out the terror. So how do we navigate this? What's your thinking in dealing with these contradictions, hypocrisies, however you want to frame it?
Well, I mean, we've seen a lot of PEP, as we called it, progressive except for Palestine.
Yeah.
And, that is like this kind of liberal norm that has allowed these things to continue because people are looking at these. They do all these other things right. They talk about this struggle, they talk about this struggle, but if they don't like Palestine, then there's probably something wrong with Palestine. That's the way that it has been normalized. I think what we need to be reminded of is that, you're not silencing someone if you don't want people to hear. You're silencing people if you don't want the world to hear what they have to say. They wouldn't be silencing us if we weren't telling the truth. And so we have to stand on our truth and know that we have power in ourselves, with each other, in community, in this collective community that we're building right now. There's so much power here. We're seeing it in the boycotts, what we've been able to take away, and now we need to look at what we're able to put in, where we're gonna take that money and put it so that when there is freedom, when there is justice, what have we built with that power that we're doing? And this is what I think that is important about these different industries and coming together and, focusing on the entertainment industry is we're taking our money away from things, let's put it into something else. We can build power that way, and there's so many of us, and our collective struggles are so important. I think that if we continue to focus on that, we're going to change the narrative for everyone. This younger generation is seeing through all of the BS. and they're coming to their own conclusions. They just need these organizations like MPAC, like us, like so many others that are giving them the tools to continue to open their eyes. Yeah.
And I'll just share to answer the question as well that I'm also I also teach. So I teach on university campuses, film studies, and it's incredible, honestly, to witness the exposure that happens when you take students who are usually in their first or second year, I teach an Intro to Film Studies course, and show them films from Iran and films from Japan and the Battle of Algiers and all these fantastic films. The impact is honestly transformative. Like, people are coming to this realization that seems maybe quite obvious to us here, but that, oh, people elsewhere in the world are just as human as we are, right? And struggling with the same things. And it sounds silly, but we're living in such a deeply propagandized place, and the population here is so, inundated with the dehumanization of our people, that just that, simple act is revelatory, right? So I guess through cinema is the way that I would continue to address it for all the different generations facing these questions now. We have to go back to art. We have to go back to the movies in a new way. Like, we're seeing now, people complain about the desensitization of sort of watching a genocide unfold on your Instagram feed, right? And to us, the biggest antidote to that has been going back into theaters, right? Being surrounded by people who are, watching something and absorbing it in a community setting, right? Laughing at the same moments, crying at the same moments. There's a profound effect to that. So we're going to keep trying to change things that way.
And I think one of the important aspects of this is building allies. And let's talk about the Jewish community, because I think the Palestinian issue is misconstrued as a Muslim-Jewish conflict. First of all, there are Palestinian Christians. And if you erase Palestinian Christians, you erase Palestine. There are Christians throughout the Middle East, in Lebanon, in Iraq, everywhere. They've been a part of that region for 2,000 years, literally, right? So they erase that. Number two, there are a number of Jews that are against the policies of Israel. And their kids, even if, I know people who are telling me, yeah, we have people who are members of AIPAC, and their kids now are leading the demonstrations on campuses. How do we work with that potential alliance within the Jewish community that is either anti-Zionist or anti the policies of the State of Israel?
Well, I think what has been amazing is that the anti-Zionist Jewish community has come to us. And what they are trying to do is amplify Palestinian voices. And, they are working with the BNC and BDS and PACB, and they are trying to uplift the calls to action and the necessities of Palestinians, which I think is beautiful and is what you're supposed to do as an ally, is amplify the voices of the people that you want to be a part of their community. I don't know, it's hard for me to talk about allyship, because I think at this point we are all in each other's struggles, and so you can't consider yourself an ally to anyone. If it's something that's happening to them, it's very easily happening to you. So we are all part of each other's struggles. So I, in that regard, I don't think anyone is an ally in this. I think we are all part of each other's struggles. But I think when it's easier for people to pick a side when you make it religious, when you say that it's just, Islam against Judaism. That makes it cut and dry for people. They don't have to look much farther than that. We've been, especially in the West, dehumanizing Muslims for so long that it's very easy to say, well, I'm obviously going to go on the other side. Whatever the other side is, I'm just on that other side. It makes it easier for people. It makes it black and white. It takes away the gray area. And it takes away people's necessity to feel like they have to educate themselves. And so what I think, what has been beautiful about what Palestine is doing is this movement is educating people. It's making people understand. It's making people understand about Islam. It's making people understand about the history of Palestine. It's people, I think, had very little to no idea that there were Christian Palestinians. That there's a huge Armenian population, that there are people who are Jewish that are Palestinian Jews and they consider themselves Palestinian Jews, that all these things exist at once. And so I think with, the kind of soft power of entertainment, including these characters in these plot lines, in film in television, it slowly educates people, but also, you know, we are just doing the work of having these conversations in multiple different areas to make sure that people understand. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would just point to one of our first films, Israelism, which, you know, it's a beautiful film. It's by 2 American Jewish filmmakers. Yeah, thank you. And, you know, it was a great collaboration because they came to us with a film that needed distribution, right? They had done like the indie distribution route, and it was reaching certain pockets, right? But really, when you're able to come in and put the entire sort of machinery of a proper distribution company behind the title, it takes it to another level. And we saw that, you know, it started charting on Apple Docs. I think it hit the #1 spot even on Apple TV. But it was beautiful because their community was coming to us not in a position of, oh, here, we're giving you charity. No, it was more like we're coming together. Each side is bringing something, right? They had a beautiful film that needed to be seen. We had the distribution infrastructure, and it was just a great sort of symbiotic relationship. So that's really how we see the blueprint moving forward, is working with these communities united under these values. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about audiences. So I think you'll agree with me that if we're just speaking to ourselves, that's not success. We have to figure out how we break out and speak to larger audiences. And, you know, there's one litmus test that one of our advocacy partners says, you know, our goal is to convince the farmer in Iowa why our issues are important to them. How do we make it so that our narrative is important to other Americans, not just people in this audience?
Oh, you know, I think that's something that we're all working on. You know, I think that's the big question, is how do we get more people to understand that our struggles are interconnected and that everyone is part of it. I think that you know, one of the ways that we're going to do that is by making films truly that have the undertone of education, the subliminal reality. I think that we have to make the kind of big film that everyone's going to want to see, that is innocuous in that it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with anything, but every character is teaching you something about the humanity of those people. And I think that is a huge goal for us at Watermelon. And I think it's a goal for a lot of people who are kind of in the shadows of the entertainment industry, kind of hiding in the closet of their pro-Palestinian stance or their anti-occupation or anti-Zionism. You know, it's going to be using their own game against them, to be honest. They've spent so much time, you know, painting us all as terrorist #2, and you know, the shopkeeper, and then, you know, the friend who dies in some horrible thing. You know, we've never been the main character. We deserve to be the main character, and when we become the main character and people start seeing us and connecting to us and saying, that person reminds me of me. That's when we start opening up the audiences, and when people start not even realizing that they're connecting to us. And I think that's the most important thing that we can do, truly.
Beautifully said. And, you know, Salam, I would take your question and actually pose it to our artistic community, right? Like, we are a distribution company, we're developing and producing, but we really want to be at the service of the artists who are in our community, right? How do we do that? Like, there are a few films that we can point to where I think we can all agree they successfully threaded that needle, right? Films like Parasite or, you know, Get Out, right?
Yeah.
We maybe don't have our equivalents yet, but those are the films that we need to be writing. Those are the films we need to be, you know, packaging, producing, financing. We're trying to create entry points for people to learn and understand, right? While also not alienating our own audience, right? We don't want to be making stuff that is geared towards, you know, let's say the mainstream, that is doing so at the expense of the people in this room, right? At the same time, you know, we want stuff that is going to resonate beyond just our community, that the excitement from our community is going to overflow into other communities. That's kind of how we're thinking about it, that it's going to, you know, hopefully hit so hard with everyone here that everyone else will want to get in on it. And I think that because we are in the zeitgeist, because we are at a moment where culture is paying attention to our communities, that we have that power. So we want the scripts, you know, and by the way, we read everything that comes in, and we're ready for new and bigger projects.
Yeah, you're in the room. Write it, send it to us. We want to make it.
Yeah, and I think that question, I pose it to MPAC as well, and all other Muslim organizations. If we're just here to work for us alone and not the larger society, I think we have failed. The message of our faith is to be a light to the world and to be a mercy. The prophet is defined as was sent by God for no other purpose than to be a mercy to humanity. And we have to accept that frame. Sometimes I think we get stuck in our own bubble thinking that, okay, if I just work for Muslim rights, then that's it. No, I think we have to work for the rights of all people, and then Muslims will benefit from that and gain our rights through our civic duty, our social responsibility, and being a voice, as we say, for courage and conscience. So I want to thank you for being that voice of courage and conscience today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you for
Thank you so much.
a wonderful
So much.
conversation. And best of luck to you, and hopefully more money. That's what it comes down to. It's all about the budget. You know, we send money, food and blankets abroad, which is great. We build mosques, which is great. We build schools. But when we talk about civic engagement and producing narratives and telling the story, there's not enough money in that sector of our community. We got to pour more money into it. So start talking to your rich friends about sending that money this way to Watermelon Pictures and to everyone else. So thank you again.
Thank you
for
so much.
your time.